Welcome to the Let's Manifest podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Alyssa Esposito, a certified life coach and manifestation expert dedicated to helping you design and live a life that you absolutely love. Together, we're diving into the magic of the law of attraction, quantum physics, and powerful personal development techniques. Whether you're new to manifestation or seeking inspiration, this podcast offers clarity, motivation, and actionable insights. So are you ready? Let's make it happen. Welcome back. In today's episode, I want to talk about the thought that the universe sometimes tests us, or God sometimes tests us. And we're going to discuss that today. I'm also going to get really vulnerable and share with you some of the backstory of my life and what led me to life coaching and manifestation and made me who I am today. So hang in there for that. I promise this is an amazing episode. So how does it feel when you think the thought that the universe is testing you or God is testing you? What kinds of feelings does that stir up in your body? For most, that thought triggers a cascade of heaviness, frustration, dread, fear, that subtle hum of, I must have done something wrong. What did I do wrong to deserve this? And the next thought usually follows pretty quickly is one, if not all of these, is this isn't fair. Why me? Why now? Well, today we're going to unravel this topic of the universe testing you. Not from fear, but from truth. Not from victimhood, but from ownership. And we're going to discuss and explore how to handle challenging situations. What's important when your brain offers you thoughts like this is a few things. Number one is the ability to be the observer of your thoughts, not just to automatically believe everything, but just to observe or notice them, to be aware of them. And the ability to challenge those thoughts. Ask yourself, is this really true? Oftentimes, we mistake our thoughts for facts. Ask yourself, is this a fact? A fact is something that could be proven in a court of law. If not, then it's not a fact. Most of the time, our brain is actually just offering us thoughts that we think are facts. This means that the next time you think that the God or the universe is testing you, it's honestly just a thought. It's a thought that you're having about a neutral circumstance. The universe is not testing you. You can remind yourself that the next time your brain gives you this thought that the universe is testing you. It's simply a sense that your brain generated in response to a neutral circumstance, an interpretation, if you will. And in that moment, when you recognize that it's just a thought, your whole nervous system just relaxes. It loosens. The tension in your body begins to shift. What if you switched your thought to something more supportive? Something more empowering, like the universe always has my back. That's a much more empowered thought, right? Doesn't it feel better? Doesn't it feel more light than the universe or God is testing me? Here's another thought. Things are always working out for me. Or, how is this happening for me? Sometimes when it's happening in the moment, we might not be able to see that yet. But if we keep in mind the thought that this is happening for me rather than to me, it's a much more empowering, lighter, and positive thought. Yes, there's always going to be ups and downs in life, and sometimes we have to ride those waves. That's part of the universal law of rhythm. But those are the times that we have to remain in faith and in belief. When things get hard, when something unexpected arises, when you are faced with a challenge, you have a choice on how you want to look at that challenge. Before I share with you a story about a great challenge that I faced in my life that brought me here today to be the woman I am now, I want to talk to you about what a challenge is versus a test. And to me, I define a test as something that's really not optional. It has an outcome of more of a pass or fail. It's often designed to measure your knowledge, your skills, or your ability. Just the thought of labeling that same situation as a challenge, I find it much more empowering. A challenge is simply something that requires more of you. We find something challenging when it requires more of us. It requires new skills, a new way of thinking, or for us to perform those skills in a more efficient manner to fit in a specific time window. A challenge provides an opportunity for growth. Remember, our brain is always wired for survival. It tries to keep us safe, it tries to conserve energy. And those two built in survival mechanisms are the reason that many of us automatically would say no to a challenge. The newer part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, is the higher executive functioning part of our brain, the newer part, the part that we use to challenge our automatic negative thoughts or our automatic thoughts in general to say, hey, yeah, this challenge may be uncomfortable, but look at the growth potential that I might have by overcoming this challenge. It knows the fears are unreasonable. It knows the potential benefit of the person that you become on the other side of the challenge. It's the person with the increased capacity, with the increased confidence, with the new skills that you gain and that can only come when you persist through and rise above the challenge. A challenge is subjective as well. Honestly, it's also a neutral circumstance that we have decided to label as challenging. And what can be challenging for me may be very easy for you because we have different skill sets and abilities. Let me share some of my backstory now and how I chose to look at a great challenge in my life. It was December of 2016. I was 36 and I had just come home from winning the Young Optometrist of the Year award. It was given to me by my colleagues in the Nevada Optometric Society. I was at the peak of my career. I was a local society president. I was a speaker that flew around lecturing and training other doctors. I was an assistant professor for the university in which I got my doctorate at. And I was also working in my private group practice. That night, I was getting undressed and I did a quick self-breast exam. I don't even consciously remember thinking I'll do one. And it wasn't a habit that I was routinely doing at that time. They don't even recommend self-checks now like they used to. But something inside of me told me to do one. I remember finding something that felt like a grape in my left breast, and I knew that had never been there before. But how long had it been there? When was the last time I even checked? Well, fast forward through the multitude of appointments, scans, biopsy, the point of getting to the diagnosis of a triple positive breast cancer. I had all the normal thoughts that one has with this kind of news. How did it happen? Why did this happen? How long has it been there? How bad is this news? Has it spread? What's my life going to be like? How bad is chemo going to be? What am I going to look like? Will I survive this? You know what? I'll be honest with you. I even had the thought, why me? I had already chosen the word gratitude to be my word of the year for the following year. I do that every year. I have a new word that I try to embody. And I remember having the thought, why is this happening to me? Am I not grateful enough for my life? Is this why I'm getting the cancer? Essentially, I was thinking, am I going through some kind of test, right? And at the time, I wouldn't say I was spiritual or religious. I would probably classify myself as agnostic. I was simply a woman with cancer trying to make sense of the chaos. I also remember giving myself some time to process this. I remember one of the hardest parts about this whole experience was telling the people that I loved the most. And I decided to wait until after the holidays as to not bring them down during what should be a really cheerful time of the year for everyone. One evening before I started chemo, I drew myself a nice hot bath and I let myself feel the grief, the fear, and the unknown. And then I drew a line in the sand. I told myself, once I step out of this tub, it's time to step up into this challenge. I asked myself, who do I want to be when I'm going through this? Who do I want to be on the other side of this? I wanted to be someone strong. I wanted to be positive. I wanted to be optimistic. And I wanted to continue to make people laugh and smile throughout this experience. I wanted to be so grateful and thankful to the doctors, the nurses, my friends, my family, my husband, who are all there for me. I refused to be a victim, and I wanted to be an example of what was possible. That was a defining moment in my life, a moment of pure ownership. No outsourcing of power, no indulging of why me longer than was necessary. I kept working through chemo not because I had to, but because I chose to. How you handle everything is a choice. It anchored me. It gave me structure and semblance of normalcy in my week. It reminded me that I had a life still. I had an identity. I had a purpose. I had a future. And as I mentioned before, when I was getting diagnosed, I had a lot of questions. I remember going to my appointment with the breast surgeon with a list of probably 20 different questions. And my brain likes answers to questions. And sometimes with these circumstances, we just don't get answers. What I didn't know was this was the start of a new me. I never could have fathomed that my life would be much more rich for having gone through the experience of cancer. In fact, I tell people that it was one of the best things that has ever happened to me. I coached probably 100 women through their cancer journey. And when I tell them that, they look at me with this confused face and this crazy look like, are you nuts? I go on to explain to them that it taught me what was important in life, and it brought my husband and I closer together. I remember asking him one night, are you going to love me when I'm bald? And he pointed to his head and he's like, I'm bald. And I said, I know. But it's different for women. People see a woman who's bald and they tend to think she's sick. Not, oh, look at this empowered woman rocking that chosen hairstyle. Or look at this woman with alopecia living her best life, shining with confidence and bravery. I decided at the last minute to try something called cold capping. You wear a gel helmet on your head at minus 28 degrees Fahrenheit for hours the day you have chemo. They have to be kept on dry ice and they have to be changed about every 30 minutes. I think for my first chemo session, my husband cold capped me about 10 hours that day. And honestly, I think that day was harder on him physically than it was on me. The cold temperatures cause constriction of the blood flow to the scalp, which means that less of the chemo gets to the hair follicle. And I knew I was going to lose my hair anyway, so I figured it was worth a try. I remember when my husband put the first cold cap on me in the parking lot at the cancer center. We were on a very strict time schedule. And I had this thought automatically, oh my God, my head hurts like crazy, right? Minus 28 degrees Fahrenheit. I thought, I don't know if I can do this. Now, I did not say this out loud. And I remember arguing back with my brain, not accepting that thought. And I said, no, you can do this. We have gone through the work to get these caps, overnighted. We practiced the night before. My husband went around finding 50 pounds of dry ice the morning of chemo so we could try this. I am not giving in. I'm not saying this out loud. And to my surprise, it worked. I kept all my hair. And I felt like it was one more thing that the cancer didn't take from me. I didn't have the petty looks. I didn't have to have the conversation 20 times a day, what was wrong with me when I saw each patient. I didn't want to have to wear a wig that didn't look like me in the hot Las Vegas summer. This victory with cold capping helped raise awareness at the cancer center of the potential success using the system. Nurses were asking me what I was doing. Nobody had really seen it. Being pleased with the results, I offered to talk to other patients who were interested in cold capping. And so my amazing doctor would then tell her patients about the possibility of cold capping and put us in contact. I started a Facebook group for local women wanting to cold cap. My husband and I welcomed them into our home for an in-person training session. I hugged them. I listened to them. I supported them. I checked in on them during their treatment, through happy times and through the tears. I planted the seeds of the mentor, the coach, the teacher that I was meant to become. And I got more and more into life coaching and decided to get certified. It naturally flowed with my passion for personal development that I'd always been drawn to. My group's grown over the years, and we have over 100 women in there now. As I was on my own journey with cancer, I mentored other women through that process. One thing that people don't realize is your journey with the cancer doesn't just stop after the chemo. There's surgery, there's radiation, there's endocrine therapy. It can last years, immunotherapy. And so my group kept growing and growing, and we supported each other. We got together, we fundraised together, we had check ins together. And I'm proud to say that now Comprehensive Cancer has machines that actually do the cold capping for you. And it's such a great step forward because now the cancer patient doesn't have to have someone else come and cold cap them. They don't have to rent all the equipment. Insurance is starting to cover and contribute towards this treatment. So it's such an amazing step forward that I like to at least feel that I had a role in having that manifest into the cancer center. So this challenge showed me my calling, and it's taught me many things. Cancer taught me the sacred value of time. Time is a resource that we don't get back. Ultimately, it led me to ask myself the question of, are you doing with your life what you want to do? And when I asked myself that question, the honest answer was no. It put things into perspective. That life that I was living was not the life that I wanted to keep living. I stopped chasing the awards. I stopped going to all the optional evening dinner meetings. I stopped staying late at work. And I would rather intentionally spend that time with my husband, my family, my friends, my dog. It pushed me into personal development, towards life coaching, towards manifestation, to learn the quantum physics, the neuroscience that finally made everything click. And eventually it led me here to the Make It Happen project, to this mission, and to this mic. It became my mission in life to share the message with others, to ask themselves, are you living the life that you want to live? Are you using your time here on earth intentionally? That became my mission of the Make It Happen project. I don't want you to have to go through a life-altering event like I did to ask yourself that question. What if you just asked yourself that question right now and answer it honestly? Your life will rearrange around the truth. Am I doing with my life what I want to do? Am I living my dream life? It's time to get real. Let's talk. The next time you're in a hard moment, ask, how is this happening for me? Who do I want to be in this? How could this expand me? What will life look like on the other side of the challenge? And who will I become on the other side of the challenge? What evidence will I create for my future self? When you choose to step up instead of step back, you expand your capacity. You build internal proof that you can do hard things. Your identity shifts into the woman who leads herself. That's how you raise your ceiling. That's how you break the cycle. That's how you manifest a bigger and different reality. And when you walk into a challenge with this energy, you become unstoppable. Not because life gets easier, because you get stronger. Now, before we wrap up, I want to coach you on something directly. When you hit a challenge, the first thing your brain will do is sell you a story about what that challenge means. It will offer you a convenient energy-saving narrative. This is too much. This always happens to me. Something is wrong. This must be a test. Here's the truth. None of these are facts. None of it's data. It's just your brain trying to avoid the effort, the risk, the discomfort of growth. So here's the coaching. Stop asking yourself, why is this happening to me? Stop being in victim energy and stop being in the passenger seat and start asking, how is this happening for me? And who am I going to be here? Your power is in your decision, not in the circumstances, not in the emotion, not in the drama that your lower brain wants you to create. But when you're in a challenge, I want you to pause and say, this gets to be neutral. I get to be the one that decides what it becomes. Because you're the common denominator in your results. You're the one generating the feelings that drive your actions. So instead of indulging in confusion or I don't know, give yourself a much clearer question. What is the most powerful thought that I can have right now that moves me forward? Not the thought that feels magical, not the thought that eliminates all the discomfort, just the thought that makes you the leader of your life again, that puts you back in power. And from that thought, take one action, not 10. It doesn't have to be a perfect plan. You don't have to know all the how. In manifestation, we don't know the how. We have to trust. Just take one action that aligns with the woman that you want to be on the other side of that challenge. Because here's what happens every time you do that. You are changing and building a new identity. You're building evidence. You're building self-trust. You're building emotional stamina. You're building capacity. That's how you become the woman that can do hard things without collapsing. Not because the challenge becomes easier, because you become stronger, more brave, and more self-led inside. So when life throws you that next wave, and it will throw me another one too, you won't label it as a test. You'll see it for what it is. An opportunity to show yourself who you are, to show yourself what you're capable of, an opportunity to expand, an opportunity to lead yourself. That's the work. That's the identity shift. And that's how you manifest from power and not from panic. Before we close, I want to speak directly to the woman that's listening right now and knows she's ready for more. If everything in you is whispering, I don't want to keep living the same year on repeat. I'm ready for the version of me I've been avoiding. That's not a coincidence. That's awareness. That's the moment where your future self starts tapping you on the shoulder, telling you it's time to step up and elevate. And here's what I want you to understand. You don't step into a bigger life by accident. You step into it by choosing to, with support, with structure, with coaching that calls you higher instead of letting you hide. That's exactly what the Modern Manifestation Academy is built for. I call it MMA for short. MMA isn't just another course that you collect. It's not another badge you get. It's the place where you learn how to lead yourself, where you learn the science of manifestation through identity, through energy, and through aligned action. It's the place where you learn the science of manifestation. You're going to do the identity work. You're going to learn about energy and aligned action. It's where you learn how to coach your brain, how to regulate your nervous system, how to reprogram your subconscious and limiting beliefs, and how to align your new beliefs with the life that you actually want to create. So if this episode resonated with you, if you felt the spark, it's because you're not meant to navigate this level alone. In MMA, you get the tools and the community and the coaching and the accountability to actually become the woman that you have been envisioning, that has that dream life, that has all those things on your vision board. And the truth, your dream life isn't created someday. It's created when you decide that you're done living below your potential. So if you're listening right now and you're thinking, this is my moment, I'm ready to step into the next version of myself, then I want to invite you to join us inside the Modern Manifestation Academy. Choose yourself, back yourself. Let me be there for you too. Let this be the moment where you stop hoping for change and start creating it. You know where you're meant to go, and now it's time to claim it. Thank you so much. Until next time, stay aligned and stay in faith. Happy manifesting and make it happen. We hope that you've liked this episode. If so, check out the Make It Happen project, where you can learn more about the Modern Manifestation Academy. You can also find a community of like-minded people and coaching resources to help you create and live your dream life. And for fun manifestation swag, check out themanifestationshop.com. Thanks for tuning in to the Let's Manifest podcast. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. Let's keep the momentum going, because you deserve to manifest your biggest dreams. Until next time, remember, you've got the power to make it happen.